All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Chase. I'm Christian Dyer, and today I have a very, very special guest, Commonwealth champ, world champ, Olympic medalist, currently 18-1 as a professional boxer, Michael Conlan. Welcome, man.
Cheers, Christian. Pleasure to be here, man.
Yeah, I mean, shit. Now that I just kind of went through your whole resume, how's it feel?
Yeah, it's always nice to hear it. You forgot one. You forgot European champ too. I gotta add that in.
Champ. Oh, my fault.
But yeah, listen, it's great when you hear your kind of achievements and someone when someone else is saying it instead of saying yourself, well, look, I won this, I won that. When someone else is going, this is what this guy's won, you go, fuck, you know what? I did do that. So yeah, it's always nice.
It's almost, and we just spoke about it before we hit the record button, but life as an athlete, you're never almost looking back on what you accomplished, nor are you really appreciating how far you've come.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I've even seen it through my early career as a professional, like everything was, I had done some big things ready to start, like in my debut, walking out with Conor McGregor in Madison Square Garden in a main event in a 6-round fight. No one's ever done that. I'd done this shit, and yet I remember saying to myself, fuck, what's next? Without even going, wow. I was just like, what's next? We need to figure out what's next. Let's focus on the next step. And like those little things, when you look back now, you go, what was I doing? Why didn't I just enjoy it? But it's hard to.
It's hard in the moment. And I wanted to touch on that initial walkout with McGregor later on in this, but you just touched on it. How'd that happen? And I mean, how special was that you and McGregor at that time, and McGregor especially, you're representing the country. Like Ireland is backing you.
At that time, he was the biggest sporting name in the world. Nobody in sport was more popular than Conor McGregor at that stage. How it happened was, he was doing like a talk in Belfast. Now, we'd spoke a few times. I actually, in his rematch with Nate Diaz, I got him sparring partner, the perfect sparring partner, who he kind of gave me credit. He says, I can't believe I got this guy, and it worked so perfect. It was the right sparring partner for Nate and stuff, and he was so appreciative of it, which was great to see. But yeah, so I got him. So we kind of chatted and stuff, and I went to the Olympics, and he had sent me like the Reebok boxing boots when Reebok had only started doing boxing boots again, and he got them because obviously the link with the UFC and Reebok, he was able to get me some, and we were chatting away. He was congratulating me when I won my world amateur title, so we kind of had that little appreciative of fellow sports people, I suppose, especially being both Irish and representing the country.
Yeah.
So he was doing a talk in Belfast, an evening in Belfast, like one of those nights that a lot of kind of sports people do. And he's up with his friends, and he was having a few drinks and stuff. And I was invited up on the stage, and I had a few drinks. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to shoot my shot here. And in front of like 2,000 people, I was like, he's like talking away and stuff, and we're having a laugh on the stage. And then he says, there was a question. He says, listen, there's one thing I want. He says, what is it, champ? And I says, I want you to walk out with me on my debut at MSG. Will you do it? And he just says, most certainly, I'll do it, most certainly. So I was like, I'm fucking holding you to this. You are not getting off.
No way.
Yeah. So I held him to it, and he done it, man. It was unbelievable. It was a real special kind of night, and even the walkout and stuff. I think it was the first time in the theatre in MSG, because it was a small room, obviously. But I think it was the first time that the entrance was done the way it was done. So usually the ring walk in MSG is like 15 or 20 seconds. It's a little short walk to the ring. They changed the whole thing where I was walking down through the crowd. And I mean, this was fucking crazy, man. I swear. Like, by the way, I'll curse a lot in this podcast, so I hope anybody watching isn't offended. This is how I speak. It was unbelievable. We were walking through the crowd, and I remember walking through the crowd, seeing people who I grew up with, and going, "Fucking hell, this is crazy, man. This is different adult type shit." So, yeah, it was special.
Wow. Okay, so it's your pro debut fight. You're in MSG, Madison Square Garden. got your walkout song. You got friends that you've known from home. You got McGregor by your side. I mean, you must have just been buzzing.
Yeah, buzzing, but also crazy nervous. Crazy nervous. It's a different type of pressure because obviously being so successful as an amateur, having the kind of pedigree which I did, you know, you have a lot of expectation on you. People are expecting, you know, the world from you, even in your pro debut. Which the difference between amateur boxing and professional boxing, I think they're different sports. How I kind of explain to people is that amateur boxing is like a sprint and professional boxing is like a marathon. They're completely different races. You know what I mean? It's a completely different type of running. So this was my pro debut with all this pressure and expectation on my shoulders. My only thought in that fight was, I need to get this finished as soon as possible. Also, I told every single person, I'm going to knock this guy in the third round. I said it in every interview. So I was like, put money on it. Put money on it. Everybody put money on it. I mean, everybody. I think even like betting and everything was suspended because I had said it so much, and I told everyone. So I was like, fucking hell, I have a lot of pressure. I mean, there's a lot of people banking on this. And when it came to the third round, I think if you can watch it back, Tim Ibarra was, I thought, I just go and throw as much punches as I can. Just like, get out of the ring, stop, finish. Referee, jump in here, please. And he did, thankfully. And I got the third round stoppage, so I made a lot of people happy. Although,
yeah, you should have put money on yourself, which you can't.
No, I wish I did, but because my performance suffered because of it. You know, I didn't perform. I was a fighter fighting under, you know, mad expectation, mad pressure, mad self-pressure because of I wanted to perform, but also then, you know, you've got a lot of people who put money in this who won't be happy. So, yeah, it was crazy.
Oh, wow. I mean, that leads us to a cool topic, self-pressure. So where are you at now? You're in your 30s versus this is your debut pro fight. How are you dealing with self-pressure now versus, you know, what you just described in your debut?
I think I don't really care what other people think no more. At that stage, I probably did care what people thought. Now I don't. Now I'm just about myself, and I'm performing and going in there, and that's the main word for me is performance. When I go in there, I just got to go in, and for me to succeed, I need to perform. I want to be the best. That's my self pressure. Always is trying to be the best. So yeah, the self pressure stuff, it's not as bad. It's nowhere near as bad. So self pressure, yeah. I think, you know, for myself, I've kind of put a self pressure on myself where I said, like, if I don't become a world champion in my sporting career and professional world champion, that I feel I'll have underachieved, and that's my pressure. I don't want to be an underachiever or someone who doesn't fulfill their potential. I think that's the kind of the most scary thing about boxing.
100%. I just listened this morning to two of my favorite speakers, Ed Milet and Jesse Itzler, and they're talking about later in life, and they're Christian based, so they're thinking about heaven, but looking back on your life and knowing you could have done so much more, and seeing that person take their life to the absolute potential and maximizing their life, and you're in a position where you're not there. I think that's something that honestly it sounds like it's fueling you, and I know for a fact it's fueling me.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a must for any high performer in any sport. They kind of have that expectation of yourself that you want to be the best, and you'll do everything to be the best. And I think it reflects, especially in my training, because when I'm training, I believe I'm one of the hardest trainers. I know everybody kind of says this, but if you ask anybody in my gym or anybody in the gyms around, they'll know. And anybody from the national squad and stuff when I was on, they'll know that, like, everybody, when I was young, like, my family would say, oh, he was, like, just super talented and stuff, but, like, talent is nothing without the hard work behind it, and you know, that's my thing. I make sure I work really, really hard. I'll push myself to places there where most people don't want to go.
Yep. And okay, let's stay on that, because I had a couple guys come up to me when they saw that I was having you on the podcast, and they wanted to know, when you're in training, but you're in that dark space, and we've all been there if you play sports at a high level. Number one, what's getting you through those days? And number two, what's that conversation like in your head when you're in the pit, you're in the dark spaces, and it's just hurting?
So it used to be the fear of losing, because when I hadn't lost, it was the fear of losing.
Mm.
But now that I have lost, it's the goal of being great and being the best I can be. I know that I'll have to push through so much barriers to get to that place, because it's a very tough sport to call yourself that in. So, you know, I've now experienced losing as a professional, and I lost in a way which a lot of people find it very hard to come back from. A lot of people would swallow it up and probably pack it in. I had never been knocked out in my life, and I got knocked out in the last round of a fight which I was winning, and it was horrific, man. The feeling of losing how I did, being knocked out in the last minute and a half to go, and I kind of went out of the ring because it was on the ropes. So in a way, you're at your most exposed and most vulnerable with millions watching. It's horrible. That's why boxing for me is probably one of the most toughest sports, because people see you at your weakest and your worst at times, and obviously see you at your strongest and the best at times. But to deal with that and come back from that, I know that my goal of being the best and achieving world championship status is still there, and I've still got to do it, and I won't stop until I can get that, and that's what drives me on every day.
I love that. So you go through a whole fight and you're winning this fight. Last round you get knocked out, and you wake up, you come to it. Where's your head at?
So I'll tell you a funny one, because it was like I was still in the arena. I was like on a stretcher when I kind of came around. I woke up and stuff, but when I was on the stretcher, I was like going to go into the ambulance, and I woke up. I kind of came, the awareness kind of kicked in. I see my partner Shauna, and I says there, "What happened?" She says, "You lost." I says, "To get knocked out?" She says, "Yeah." I says, "How long was left?" Says, or what round? Says, "Last round." I says, "How long was left?" She says, "A minute and a half." And I went, "Ah." Oh. Closed my eyes and put my head back. I was like, "Fuck, Jesus!" Oh, it was sickening, man. And that was for the, like, I had planned to go on holiday after anyway, so I was going away, and I had like Portugal. I was going to Portugal for 2 weeks, and when I got there, for the first 2 weeks, I was just depressed. I don't think I even left the room.
Yeah.
And I'd say I was like at that stage for my kids and stuff. It was probably a shit time, because daddy wasn't doing nothing. I have two young kids. I have a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old, and it must have been tough for them. But I suppose they were still there having fun. But I wasn't a part of that. I can barely even remember what was going on. Obviously being concussed and stuff. When you get knocked out, you're concussed. So having that kind of shit, that was like, the worst 2 weeks of my life. It felt like my world had ended.
And that's, I mean, shit, that's the way to gold sometimes. And I call that collateral damage, where you're chasing something so relentlessly that there's going to be parts of your life that you're either going to put on hold or you're going to sacrifice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
that's me every fucking time I go into training camp. Like, I'm doing 12-week camps, and I'm fighting 3 times a year. That's 36 weeks of the year. I'm gone out of 52.
Yeah.
I have 2 young kids. Like I says, my partner Shauna. I move away to England. I live in England for those times. So for 36 months of the year, I'm gone. I'm out there trying to be the best me I can be, to achieve whatever I have to achieve, and it's very tough.
Yeah, but I mean, that just shows how important it is to have the right people in your circle.
Yeah.
So obviously, Shauna, your partner, she knows this is your dream.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't that way, well, then I'm not going to say she wouldn't be in your life, but it could have been different.
No, I agree. She wouldn't have been. We already spoke about this. Like, the reason we work is because we work, and you know, she's on this journey with me, and I wouldn't be able to do what I do without her, because everything that goes on at home, and how hard it is for her to be at home, you know, all the time looking after the kids, and having young kids is hard. Like, when I come back from Shingham, it's hard. You know, I'm not going to say it's easy. It's not as hard. It's amazing at the same time, but when you're doing it by yourself, it's much harder. And you know, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing without her. She wouldn't be able to do what she's doing without me. So, we're a great working team, and I think that's what makes the best relationships.
Yeah, no, spot on, man. I want to take it back though. In a country like Ireland, where soccer's big, Gaelic football, whatever the hell sport that is, and rugby, you know, what got you into boxing?
Well, boxing's the most successful sport this country has. Olympic boxing, anyway, it's our most successful Olympic sport. What got me into boxing? So I'm from Belfast. It's the north of Ireland, and very trouble-stricken area. There was a war here back in the day, obviously, between England and Ireland and stuff, and all that stuff. So it's a city of kind of war from the past, but obviously now into the future is no longer gone. But it's been a hard city to grow up in. I'm from a working class family, working class area. A lot of my friends from who I was growing up with are drug dealers, drug addicts, or dead. You know what I mean? Or else some of them have kind of got out and they're doing well, but like, you know what I mean? It's a tough kind of place. It's like ghetto type place. Some parts where, especially where I came from. So for me to come out of that, I needed to kind of find something. I was always really small. I was really small. Like, I remember my first fight as a boxer at the age of 11. I was 27 kilograms. You know what I mean? That's how small I was. So that was, like, for me, I played every sport, but it came to like the age of 14. You know, I played Gaelic football, I played soccer. I didn't play hurling. Sorry, not hurling. I didn't play rugby because I was too small for that. But I came to like the age of 14, and the coach at the time says, "Now you've got to make a choice. You can pick these sports, or you can pick boxing. What one are you going to pick? You need your full focus." So I picked boxing. That was the one I was best at, and I like to punch people, so it worked well.
Oh my God! And so you picked boxing at that age, but as a young child, what was the dream in life?
I was just an active kid. You know, my father always made us watch the Olympics. So we always watched the Olympics, and boxing was the main thing we watched in the Olympics. So I always kind of loved watching the boxing and stuff. And then when, like, he used to make us sit up and watch some of the professional fights and stuff. My father was my coach for my whole life, you know what I mean? Right up for the Olympics and stuff. So like, he always kind of had us watching boxing and stuff, and like, he would always like play fought with us, and me. It was four of us, four brothers, all boys in my house. So boxing was kind of a way of survival. You know what I mean? It was, even at home, it was a way of survival. We always had to fight each other and stuff, and it was good, man. It was always kind of, the goal was always to be a sports person, I think, but mainly a boxer. And I remember when I got the rosary beads tattooed on me. I was 16 or 17, and my father, I walked in, I went, "Look, I got my tattoo." He was like, he thought I was going to get one on my arm or something. He says, "Oh, what the fuck are you doing?" He says, "You're never going to get a job now." And I says, "I don't need a job. I'm going to be a boxer." He just went, "You fucking dickhead," and walked away. So yeah, it was. I made the choice definitely at that age that this was my route, and I was good from a young age. But at the same time, from where I grew up, and as I said, everything kind of what was going on, the type of friends I had and stuff, I could have fell down the wrong path, and I was going down that path. But what stopped me was the fear of my father or my brother, who was a professional fighter and everything as well, was them as catching me, because I know that they would have kicked my ass and really really hurt me. So I never really wanted to put that kind of embarrassment on my family of doing that, especially being a sports person. And like, I think it was the first international tournament that was going away on, and I was told they do drug testing. And I was like, what? I was like 15, I think. He says, did you drug testing? I said, yeah. I says, fuck, I've got to stop doing what I'm doing. And I stopped. From then I stopped. From then,
Yeah, you
but like
had to.
from the ages of like, sorry, of 16, sorry, from the ages of 11 to 16, I was involved in all sorts of different types of drugs. Crazy.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Jeez. I mean, I guess it just proves the point, like you're a product of your environment,
Yeah.
because that's probably all you knew during that 5-year span.
Yeah, well, it was quite easy with, like, your best friend's brother was a drug dealer, and he didn't really care about his little brother. So, these kind of things just happen.
Yeah, jeez. I mean, hats off to you, and also the fear from pops and brother
Yeah.
that you couldn't keep going down that
I still
path.
fear them now, so it hasn't changed. They're still very much a part of my life. My father's still a national coach.
Yeah.
He's the national coach of Ireland now, and my brother, he's actually my manager. So, yeah, there are two people
I think you're doing them proud now.
yeah, well, there are two people who I will always have part of my career, and
Yeah.
they're two people's advices I take over anybody's.
Yeah. No, that's special. So young Michael, was it? I know you had talent, but was it talent or was it more your mind?
A bit of both. One thing about my mother, she read The Secret when The Secret only came out, and she kept telling me for years, "You need to read this. You need to read this," and kept saying it. And I was just like when every mum was like, "Go on, do this, do that," I was just like, "Fuck off! I'm not reading it. I don't want to read it." She's like, "No, this will change your life." And then when the time I did read it, it just was like, "Wow, fuck! I've got this superpower now." I started following the kind of the route of The Secret, and the kind of the self confidence, the self belief, the self talk, all that. I started to do all that, and ended up becoming world amateur champion. I was like, I was living bad. I mean, at that stage now, I don't live bad so much no more. I have different thoughts and different opinions on things and perspective and all that there. But at that time, I remember saying, like, before the world championship had even started, I was saying, I'm already world champion. I was just saying, kept telling the whole team, and they were like, some of them I could see looking at me like, "Oh, you're cocky and stuff." But I was like, it's not like I'm being cocky. I've won this already. I'm just going to act it out here. That's all I'm doing. And they were like, "Fuck, okay." And then when I did it, they were like, "Wow, what the fuck's going on?" This guy was telling us he was already world champion. So, yeah, it was like she kind of had always instilled this self belief in me.
Yep.
And at a young age, I knew I had ability because I was always kind of good and talented. But one thing which I learned very quickly after because the first year as an amateur boxer, I won everything you could win in Ireland, the national title, everything. The second year, obviously getting involved in what I was getting involved in outside of boxing, but at the same time, I just thought I was better than everybody, and I didn't train as hard. And I won everything still until I got to the All-Ireland final. I lost. And the same kind of thing happened the following year. And then the following year, I won it back and all that shit. So it was like, I learned very early throughout the amateurs and stuff that you can't just rely on talent, and you can't just think that you're better than people. You have to put the work in to get what, the benefits, reap the benefits at the end. You need to put the work in.
100%. Shit, growing up for me, man, like I didn't hit puberty till I was in college. Like I was the latest bloomer ever. But what I had was just this, honestly, I don't know, this like relentless drive. And I know it came from my dad. My dad and I are best friends, and he just had this discipline and inspiration behind him that it was contagious.
Yeah.
And I wanted to prove to him that I am who I could be.
Yeah.
I wanted to do everything for him. And so I went to work every single day, despite me being physically, basically, smaller than everybody.
Yeah.
slower than everybody. But I just had this drive. And finally, when I hit puberty, when I got some physical, attributes that I knew I was going to get, it just finally happened. That's when the mind and then the body all connected. And I think that's when shit took off for me.
Yeah. It's amazing that once the little things, not everything falls into place right away.
Yeah.
But if you persevere and you keep pushing, eventually they do. And that's one thing. When people ask me about what would you tell yourself, like now or younger self, it's just like, mine's as simple as just like everything's going to work out. Don't worry about it. Just don't worry. Forget the stress. You don't need the stress. Everything works out. And that's all I would say. It's as simple as that.
100%. And I know so many people growing up that had the physical qualities, they were beasts from a young age. But because they had that, that's all they relied on. They never knew the importance of doing the little things, going to the dark moments, doing an extra session when you don't have to. And I think that's why the people that come to my head, who I know and I'm quite good friends with, they didn't reach their potential. Yeah. There's a whole other side of the,
because once everybody had kind of leveled out on that side of things, they had then dropped because their advantage was gone.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. I want to talk about a little bit of the Olympics.
Yeah.
And what it meant for you at the start to represent your country. Because then, of course, you're boxing for Michael Conlan, and you always will. But you're also boxing for a country.
Yeah. Nah, it's special. So I'd done 2 Olympic Games. My first one won bronze. And the second one I'm sure we'll get on to. But the first one was an unbelievable experience. Really, really special. You're walking around this village of absolute superhero people, like really, these unbelievable athletes, famous people you've seen on TV, like Serena Williams, I think LeBron James was not that one. Like the USA basketball team. You're seeing Usain Bolt, you're seeing Tyson Gay, all these people. You're going, what the hell, man? This is unbelievable. I see these guys on TV. What? Yep. I'm in the same tournament as these people. Wow. But then, so the first games I fought in was in London. So basically for Ireland, that was the home games. That's the closest home we're ever going to get for games. So the support and the fan base and everything when you were going, I remember walking out to the arena and the cheers. I was going, I'm used to fighting in little sports halls in Latvia or somewhere like that. Nobody's there. Even in European championships and stuff, you're going, what's going on here? Like, this is European games and there's like barely anybody here. So you're going out, you walk out in London, you're going, holy God, this is unbelievable.
Yep.
And just, I think it takes your performance and everything. And even at that for the Olympic Games, I was told before it, don't worry about it. We're not expecting you to get a medal, just go out and enjoy it. So I was like young. It was my first or second year on the national squad. The first year I ended up qualifying for Olympics. The first time being on the senior national squad. Qualified and then obviously went. And in that games, I fought someone. The guy who I fought for a medal was actually the third time I'd fought him. I'd beat him the first 2 times. But the pressures of having to fight someone who every single fight with has been very, very close. Or a medal in the Olympic Games. Jesus Christ. That was nerve-wracking. And at the same time, I ended up fighting him in the opposite stance, which I'm naturally. I ended up fighting him as a southpaw, which now, fast forward 11 years, is my natural stance. Is basically a southpaw now, so I've switched the whole thing up. But at that time...
Well, why'd you switch in that fight?
He was a southpaw, and I knew when I fought southpaws that I like to fight them in their own stance because as a southpaw, it's not as common to be southpaw. It's more uncommon. So you fight more orthodox fighters, more right-handed fighters. And once I turned southpaw, I knew southpaws couldn't handle it. So even being so young, I was 20. I knew that was the key for that one, and I'd done it twice before, but both fights were very, very close. And even the Olympic fight was even closer because the first round, it was at the end of the first round, it was level. End of the second round, it was level. And then by the end of the third, one thing which I knew was I had a bigger engine than him. So, the third round I always kind of took over and ended up winning by 3 or 4 points, which was, it was good, but it was nail biting kind of stuff. And yeah, I remember like my family were there, and like the only time we'd never been to the Olympic Games, and I don't think they ever expected anybody from their family to to achieve something in the Olympic Games. And
Yep.
there was me, a little kid from West Belfast in Ireland, and achieving something that we've dreamed about as a family for
Oh, geez,
so
that's
long.
special.
It was unbelievable. I know that when I
That's so
actually
cool.
qualified in 2011, it was in Azerbaijan, so my family weren't there. It was like a shithole in Azerbaijan. It was the World Championships, and I beat the same guy to qualify for Olympics. I beat him, the one who I beat for a medal. I beat him, and it was the first time I fought him. And how
Yep.
I knew the guy before. He was the number 2 seed in the World Championship. Well, how I know him was because he had beat my older brother, and one of the old coaches in the boxing club had said he was the greatest amateur boxer he's ever seen at the time when he beat my brother. So it was like, I'm fighting this dude. I know what they said about him back then. I was like, fuck it, but I ended up beating him, and my family didn't know because they were like checking live updates. It was 2011, so they were checking live updates on the phone, and then they were watching the live stream, and then it cut out at the end.
Mm.
My mother was out the back. She couldn't watch it. She was out in the back garden, like, no, not watching. And then when I won, they says the house just went crazy. The whole street was like, what's going on? But they just went nuts. And, when you hear things like that of people experiencing your success and what it meant to them, it makes it so much better.
Isn't it pretty cool? I think I've only realized this, honestly, within the last year, where I can attribute a lot of my life to doing things just for me. Probably up until I was 25. But then it got to a point where, and I had a couple conversations with kids and some of my mentors where I realized, like, yeah, it's a lot about me, but there's also a huge component to it where it's about others, because what you're doing for them is something so special that you'll probably never understand.
No.
But you could be changing somebody else's life.
Yeah, definitely. And where I'm from, I see that, and I understand that because I have kids come to me, all from the kind of same areas I come and wanting to be me and wanting to achieve what I've achieved. And they're going, fuck, what I actually am. Me doing this is good for them. And it's helping them to have a focus outside of what's going on in the world. Focusing on sport, getting into sport, more people taking it up. Like, I'm very lucky I have a great kind of support system, but also, even though my area is a tough area, it's an area that supports you. Like, I've painted like 4 or 5 paintings on walls of me, like big murals from me. I'm going, like, I thought that shit only happened when people were dead, but no, like they're on the walls, and these kids can see that and see that when you put the work in and you dedicate yourself, that this is what can happen.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. It's such a cool feeling. And it also helps motivate me when, whether I'm feeling down or times are a little darker, or maybe I even lose. Like, sometimes I'll get a message saying, hey, you've changed my life, or you're such an inspiration to me. And I'm like, yeah, my life isn't as bad as I may think, or, it seems today.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right, let's go next Olympics. And we can put a little context into it for a lot of people that don't understand kind of what happened and the journey. Do you want to start, or do you want me to put something to it?
I'll do it. So I was going into this, my second Olympic Games, as the gold medal favorite. I was world amateur champion, ranked number 1 seed in the competition, and so I got the bye of the first round, and the draw was made, and it was actually the draw which was made. This is a funny thing. It's rather like this law of attraction is working here, because I remember going to walk as the draw was going on. I was talking to one of the other Irish fighters and says, listen, this is the way I want it. I want to fight the Armenian guy first, and then I would like to fight the Russian for a medal, and then I would like to fight bang, bang, bang. Next minute the draw comes up, you're fighting Armenia. I was like, phew, I've called this. It's on. It's on. The gold medal is on here. My dream when I started amateur boxing was to become Olympic champion, and after the first games, when I lost in the semi-final, I lost to Cuban. He ended up winning the Rio games as well. He's two-time Olympic gold medalist now. But I remember I was devastated, and the coach says, "Listen, we didn't expect you to get a medal here. Your Olympics 2016." So that was always my focus. I was going to win gold there. So fight the Armenian, beat the Armenian. Watch the Russian fight. He's fighting Thailand, and he's getting battered, but he gets the decision. I'm like, fuck, all right, listen, that's even better, because the Thailand fight would have been a harder fight. I've wanted the Russian. I said I'm going to fight this Russian. So Russian's called Vladimir Nikitin. Actually a really nice guy. And I actually don't really mind him. I have no problem. He is a nice dude. But he's my rival. And so it was the night before. I think it was the night before or 2 days before. Sorry, it was after that fight when he beat the Thailand guy. I didn't know this. I was oblivious to everything that went on until after the fight. So after he beat the Thailand guy, one of the Russian coaches said to one of our coaches, "You need help. Go and get help. You're not going to win this fight." And he says, it was the Georgian Irish coach, not my father. It was one of our Georgian coaches we have, a Georgian fella who is one of the national coaches of Ireland. And he says, "What do you mean? Our boy destroys your boy? This is easy." He says, No. You need help. Go get help." So it's like, fuck, he told my father, and then my father's, they're round ringing everybody, ringing the Olympic Council, ringing the Irish Olympic Council, ringing the Irish Olympic president, who was in his own scandal at the time. There was so much. They tried to reach out, and then they ended up reaching out to someone, and it came back saying, "It's too late, unfortunately." And they were like, "What? What the fuck do you mean?" So no one said anything to me. So the night before the fight, my father says to me in the room in the place where we're staying, in the Olympic rooms, he says, "You can stop this guy. You can knock this guy out." I says, "Yeah, I know." He says, "If you see the opportunity, you go for it." I was like, "First time you've ever said this to me, but okay, no problem. You just tell me, use my skills." He says, "If you can take him out, you take him out." I says, "Okay." He says, "You must not like him." He says, "No, I don't mind him, but just take him out." I says, "All right, okay." So I was laughing, but it was no problem. I was like, I'm going to beat this guy. This is meant to be. I've called this. I've called who I'm going to fight. This is meant to be. So it starts. Walking to the ring, no problem at all. I see all the fans and all cheering and stuff in the ring. Go out in the first round, give him a beating, come back out of the first round. The coach, the Georgian coach, "Oh, great round. I look at my father, and they're getting the scores from outside the ring. One of the other Irish fighters was up behind the scoreboard, like looking at the scores. He got the score. And he says, "You're down. You lost the round." And my father says, "Michael, they're trying to fuck you. You need to go and fucking put it on him. Stop him. Take him out." So I was like, "What?" I was like, "They're trying to fuck you." And I says, "Okay." So I went out the next round, and I almost stopped him. I almost had him gone. And the referee jumped in and actually fixed his wiped the blood off his face when it wasn't even in his eyes. It was on his head. Wiped the blood off his head. And I was like, there was no need to do it. I almost had him here. But I still didn't understand why, which was going on, what was being said. And then I went back. They said, "You won that round." I was like, "Happy days, there we go." It's like, "Right, you need to do the same this round." Went out the last round. And I probably won the last round, the easiest out of all of them. And I came back and I was like, "Yes." But I could see faces, and I was like, "Why did they all look?" Because my Mrs. Sean and my daughter at the time, my son wasn't born, but my daughter was there, and my brother and my mum and all stuff. And I could see their faces, and they didn't look like they were like, "Really, you've got this, kind of won." I was like, "What's going on here?" It's like, I won every round there. The decision gets called, and it's like, and the winner is in the blue corner, Vladimir Nikitin. I was like, "What the fuck?" I just put the middle finger up and just give the finger to the judges, because prior to the Olympic Games in amateur boxing, it's corrupt anyway. And it always says that at one stage I was actually going to do it before, just give the fingers and say I'm going pro. But I left it, and it just kind of came back at the Olympic Games. I didn't know the whole be all and end all, or everything that happened behind the scenes. So I just gave the fingers, basically, "Fuck you." He's a fuck me over in the biggest competition of my life when I was going to be gold medalist. Yep. took my top off. And one thing I wish is that I wish I had stayed in the ring and just sat down and didn't move. That's what I wish I had done. But I got out of the ring and I was very close. Like, I was so close to like punching the judges when I was walking past them, like really close. And I remember I was walking over to your media right after when you get out of the ring, and the British BBC, which is the British television, they just went, "No, we don't want him," because they could see everything on my face.
There was death in your face.
They could see it, but the Irish ones were just like, "Come." They knew they wanted it. So I went over, and then I just went off. And as people can see in this interview, I cursed off that, but I cursed like 1,000 times more in this interview. And I even said, I don't even care if I'm cursing on TV. No, these cheated me. I was rotten from the core right to the top, and everything I said, I didn't know. I knew I'd been cheated, but I didn't know what happened with my father and with the other coach who were told. I didn't know any of that yet. None of that was told to me, so I didn't know any of that until I kind of get into the change room. But I just called them cheats because I know their cheats. They've cheated so many times, and it was more than the final time they were ever going to cheat me. So I was just being honest because they could never fuck me over in the future. I got fined. I never paid the fine, but I got fined 5,000 from AIBA. The Olympics threatened to send me home. I says, "Well, fuck this, send me home. I don't care." But yeah, everything which I said in the interviews has all came to light in the last few years as truth. And there was medals paid for. My fight was one of those fights which was paid for. So everything I said was correct. And you know, I know people like most of the people they got blew up overnight, obviously. So if I'm going to be honest, I think it was better than actually win the gold medal.
Wow.
Because in terms of for my career, because a lot of the champions and even other medalists who were in the Olympic Games, they have been on my undercards as professionals. You know what I mean? So media wise, it shot me through the roof and gave me a profile bigger than any of the champions and anybody in that Olympic Games. For as a professional, that's what you need, and that's what it done for me there. A lot of like my socials and all, they blew up from 5,000 people following me to like over hundreds of thousands, and you're going, what the fuck's going on? No, this is overnight. And I played it up and I tweeted Putin and everything, saying, how much did you pay them, bro? And then after that was like, why the fuck did I tweet Putin? Someone's going to stick me with a pen or something and I'm dead. So I was like, shit, what have I done? But yeah, it went well and everything kind of worked out. So happy days.
Oh my God, what a story. Yeah, you just put a lot more context than I ever knew. Because I only know from YouTube and reading stuff and talking to a couple of my buddies who play for, who are from Cork, which is a weird place from what I've heard.
Yeah.
But, I mean, just to put a little context on it, can you at least be proud of your efforts, your performance, despite the results? Because at the end of the day, that's some shit that you have no control over. Yeah,
100%. And when I look back, because I fought the guy as a professional, and I beat him.
Yeah, and you beat him.
Yeah, and it was quite easy. And you know what? After I beat him, I actually felt bad because, it's not his fault that he won the medal. He didn't pay anybody to win the medal. He didn't cheat. And his whole career is going to be remembered for that fight. And I could tell when I beat him and the fight was done and stuff, he just wanted the kind of shit to stop, me to stop talking shit, basically. Because it's not his fault. I know it's not his fault, and he's a nice dude. Saying that as well, I've said this, if they were to say, listen, we're going to reverse the decision and give Conlan the medal, I would say, no, just give me a medal, but don't take his medal from him, because that's his achievement, no matter what you say. Can't take that from the guy. He's done that, and albeit other people at play, it wasn't him. So yeah, when I look back on it, I'm proud of the whole thing. I'm proud how I reacted. I'm proud how I fought and stuff. One thing, the only thing that will always hurt and you can never really get back is it probably took my only chance of being my last and final chance of being an Olympic champion away. And that was my
Yeah.
goal when I started boxing.
Wow. But does that motivate you and fuel you now to achieve the next goal in mind? Like, you don't want that same feeling of regret?
Not in that sense, but yeah, it makes me want to be world champion even more because then more so that I can put the Olympic stuff to rest. You know what I mean? People will always. I know people will probably always remember me for it, no matter what I do. But I get like people, even though I know it's not true, but you get like some of these boxing people saying, he only is where he is because of the Olympics. No, I am where I am because of the people I've beaten, how I've beat them.
Yep.
So yeah, once I become world champion, I can just like, yeah, let's talk about the world championships now. We don't need to talk about that, but yeah, and that's one of the main things that I want to put things to bed, and I don't want to be remembered just for that. I want to be remembered for being as good a fighter as I am.
It's pretty cool, and it's funny when you look back on moments. I've had some big moments in my life where a big injury happens, or there's a setback in my life, and for your sake, you just went through that experience and whatnot. How much that pivots your life, and how much you can change as a human being for the better. A lot of times when you can reflect and look back on those moments.
Yeah, definitely, and the lessons it gives you, and how to handle things, and standing up for what's right and doing things like that. I get a lot of people who have come up to me and have says like, "What? I'm so thankful and grateful for how you reacted because you didn't react like a sports person. You reacted like a normal human being. Yourself as sports people, media training and stuff, and like even as me as a fighter and stuff, we had media training being on the Olympic team and stuff. But like, I've seen some of the Irish athletes even, one of the guys done his like Achilles in a walk and he kind of went off the bat and just started going, oh, my Achilles and all this here and like blaming obviously things, but he didn't stick to what he was meant to say. And I appreciate it, even though it was like a bit of a cop out for why he pulled up in the race. But I appreciated him like not following the rules of as an athlete you need to be like, well listen, I need to go back and review what it was and see this and see that. I believe I won, but the better man won, or better man got the decision, whatever that shit people do. But I just like to call it as it is, and I think a lot of people appreciate that.
Wow. I want to learn more about just kind of where your mind's at now, and how you're approaching your day to day, because for me, and what I've learned through just my 25 years of life and from everybody who's a mentor to me, they just talk about so much the, winning the day mentality, and it's about the process and the journey, but the only thing you can control is today.
Yeah.
So I'd love to just hear about your mindset every day, what's getting you up, and where your head's at going forward.
I can't go one day without training, and I need to train. And I always need to run. Running is probably one of the main parts of my training. Even when I'm not in training camp, running is where I find comfort, where I'm happy, and I just go. Even though it's hard at times, you don't want to run at times, that's where I go. And I think as an athlete, you can't be just, especially in boxing, it's like training camps and stuff. You can't just be a training camp athlete. You can't have training camps. Your whole career needs to be one big training camp, really. All right, have downtime and stuff, but like everything I've done from a kid, I've been doing since I've been boxing since I was 7. So 24 years. It's a long time. It's everything which I've done to get to where I am. It's been one training camp basically. I know I'll probably say I'm going into the training camp or whatever it is. I'm just going abroad. That means, but yeah, I think that being the everyday athlete and trying to kind of keep on top of things every single day, the small little things, even your sleep, your mindset, even having kids is tough, but you need to kind of be able to manage the sports side of your life. And even when I'm not in training camp, I'm still in training camp because as an athlete, you'll know yourself. You have to be very, very selfish, and as a father, you cannot be selfish, not with your kids. You can't show that and you can't teach that. But um, I still make sure that, whatever it is, I have to get my training in. Kids need to be
Mm.
looked after. Shauna will have my back, and I can be my selfish self and go and do my sessions and get the work I need to get in.
No, that's good, and you're super super fortunate to have her in your life. Have you thought about what else in life, I guess, gets you ticked, or where you see yourself after boxing?
Yeah, well, I think, me and my brother is my manager, but we, in the last 2 years ago now, 2 years ago now, yeah, we set up our own promotional company and management company. So,
Awesome.
like, and I know a lot of fighters, the big fighters have done it, like Mayweather and Oscar de la Hoya and stuff, but not many other fighters other than the big ones really do it. So I think, we seen an opportunity here in Ireland and in the
Yeah.
UK to kind of start their own one, and let's do something big and kind of do it while I'm still boxing, because I can spearhead the shows and, bring the big events and build their brand and build their name around my fights. So that's what we've
Mm.
done, and obviously now we have 5 or 6 fighters on our roster, not including me. So I'd
Yep.
be the extra one. And we're guiding their careers to the best of our ability to make them as, the next headliner here in Ireland, the next star
Mm.
after me. Once I kind of pack it up, I want someone to fill my boots and, overtake me and do better than what I ever do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to be the guy guiding that person's career. So that's our aim, is to kind of focus on the next generation of professional fighters coming through the ranks and take them to the top.
Your sport is so crazy to me because if I have, just say, a bad game this weekend,
Mm,
I know the next weekend I got another
yeah,
game. So I can always look back on film, figure out what in that week didn't go that well, where do I need to improve, and how can I make my strengths, super
yeah,
strengths. But for you, number one, you don't have the next fight usually lined up.
yeah,
And there's also a massive amount of time in between your
yeah.
fights. And so for you, it's like, I couldn't even imagine what that would be like, because I would have the anxiety of, holy shit, like, am I going to
Huh.
get another shot, or
Yeah,
it's so long in the
if you
future?
lose, it's like you're in no man's land. When I lost to Lee Wood, in the sense, I was fortunate that it was that good of a fight. It
Mm,
actually became fight of the year. So that would have
yeah.
been history, that fight. But it was a fight where my value didn't drop, whereas a lot of people, when they lose, their value drops.
Mm,
So you think of it, if you're getting paid, we'll say we're getting paid £100 a week, yeah, for every match, £100, £100, or whatever the monthly salary is. You lose a game, and that drops down by half or more, 3/4, and then you've got to try and build that back up again. That's
mm-hmm.
boxing, man. That's boxing the majority of the time. But if you have the good performance, things don't really drop as much, but they do drop no matter what. So your
Yeah.
your payment kind of schedules vary so much with boxing. You're not
Oh,
guaranteed anything, and if you lose, or if you don't have a fan base, you can become a who needs him man. You know what I mean? Like, people just go, nah, I don't need to fight him. You know what I mean?
yep.
He's not
Yep.
he's not going to do nothing for me. I don't need to fight him, and that's a
Yeah.
scary position to be in. I'm very fortunate that I have a fantastic fan base, and obviously I'm still going really well in my career, so I'm not in that who needs him club yet. But yeah, it's in my opinion, it's the wild west of sport, boxing. Like, anything can happen.
Mm,
Like, you can fight a fight and not even get paid. I mean, I've seen that happen before. Um, like, there's no, if you retire, like in rugby and stuff, there's rugby unions and people are, so like there's things for when you retire, this is in place and that's in place, and you've got this lined up. When boxers retire, mainly 99% of them, they don't have anything. They're retiring probably, a bit of brain damage, probably, with, like, no matter what, because if you've taken punches out of their life, no doubt there is some type of damage. Um, but most of them will retire with barely a pot to piss in. You know what I mean? It's a hard game. It's a hard game to earn money in. People just see the top guys like your Mayweathers and this earning millions and millions and millions when that's probably the 1%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not many people earn anywhere near that type of money.
Yeah. Yep. No, that's the reality of it.
Yeah,
we always knew
it's the way west, man.
Yeah, sport was always, created as a business first. We know that.
Yeah.
But the last thing I want to ask you is, when you're in the ring, the referee says go. It's go time. Yeah. Are you thinking, or is it just?
Nah, man. I go in the flow state.
You're
straight in the flow state, and like once I'm in there, probably the first few seconds, you're like, okay, wait, let's get the thing. As soon as I gain my distance, once I have my distance kind of nailed down, the understanding of distance, I'm just in a flow state. And like even when I like watch my face back, I'd be like, I can't even fucking remember doing half of this stuff. This is just like natural shit that comes out. And like one thing about me as a fighter is my distance control and my boxing IQ. I know that they are very, very high in terms of boxing. And when I'm in the ring, like some of the things, if I was to think about them, I couldn't do them. But when I don't think about things, they just happen. And that's that flow state of boxing for me. And when I'm in there and I'm flowing, you can tell, if you watch me, you can tell when I'm in that kind of state. You can tell when I'm not thinking. There's just a piercing focus on the person in front of me. Now, I'm very aware when I hurt someone that, this is the time. Let's step on the gas. And, I think if you watch the fight when I lost, the Lee Wood, after the first round, if there was 10 more seconds in that round, that fight was done. But credit to him, he showed tremendous toughness throughout that fight because he took some serious damage. And one of those ones in that fight, who has come off worse, I may have lost. But in terms of damage, in terms of longevity in life, he took an awful lot of more damage than me, man. And I would say he was much more concussed than I was, and much more fucked up in a sense than I was, because one shot switched my lights off. He took a tremendous amount of punches in that fight. So it's kind of, if you look at it in a sense, it's probably like, he may have won the battle, but I've won the war. And I want the rematch, but it's all probably dependent on, he has to win this weekend. He fights this weekend against Mauricio Lara, and I half hope he wins and I half hope he doesn't. But I suppose that's boxing, and like a lot of people will show like the kind of respect after fights, and I show him respect and I respect him as a fighter and stuff. But like, I'll be honest, I don't care for him. I don't care if he wins or loses. I prefer if he loses because I've always behaved after. But fuck it, you know what I mean?
Oh, dude, there's some rugby games like 10 minutes in, I'm like, oh, I know we're on.
Yeah,
like we're buzzing, and this is gonna be a win. But there's some I'm like, fuck, like we're not there.
Yeah.
And do you have those fights where sometimes this is it? I'm on my A game, but there's also some where you're like, shit, I got to climb back into this thing.
There has been, yeah. Now, I've lost once as a professional, but there's been fights as a professional. I've been like, fuck, I'm off the mark here. I think it was my 8th pro fight. Like, I think I overfueled after weighing, and I was too heavy in the ring. And actually, when I look back on the photos, I actually look chubby in the ring compared to what I would do now. I was like, what the fuck had I been eating then? But I didn't perform in that fight. I still won. I went the distance, went the points. And it was a tough out scrap against the guy who I should have been beating. And I did beat him, but I could have beaten him much better. But they're all the little things pre-game, pre-match that you learn along the way, and experience helps you kind of get control of them. And now I think my kind of setup and my routine of pre-fight, of in the dressing room, of the day after the weigh-in, everything, the building up to I'm in the ring is almost perfect now.
Yeah.
But that's experience, because that at the start it was nowhere near it, and even
Yep.
8 fights in, it was nowhere near it. But now, I think even if you look at pictures of me after like my 7th fight in the ring compared to after my last few fights in the ring, I look like a different person.
Mm.
I look like I'm a
Mm.
child with like puppy fat on, and then I look like an athlete. You know what I mean? So that was just about routine and about structure of how, obviously, like food and putting weight back on, because like I'll lose like for a weigh-in. Like I fight at 57 kilos, but my natural walking around weight is 68. So I'll probably
That's
drop in
crazy.
the training camp, or well, the night before. Sorry, I'll drop about 5 or 6 kilos. It's
Bro,
mainly water though.
I
It's
lose.
mainly water.
I know, but like I'll lose 3 pounds, which is a kilo or 1.2
Yeah,
kilos, whatever it is, and I feel like shit.
yeah,
So to lose that much fucking
yeah. You
weight
feel like
is
shit. Yeah, you definitely feel like shit.
oh
So I'd say 5 is probably the natural. 4 is the safest. 4 is the easiest. When I can do 4, it's like when in the range of 4 kilos, like, yeah, no problem. Let's go. It's
mm,
easy. Um,
yeah
but yeah, so like when I'm back in the ring, so I'm probably coming down from, 61 to 57. When I'm in the ring, I'm probably 66. So that's 36 hours after weighing in. I've put
yeah
that much weight on, but it's mainly just fluid. So
yeah. So you're just hydrating,
yeah, just
electrolyte.
hydrating and food as well, obviously. But um, like I've been one of the kind of smart ones, and I can probably afford some ones that I've been able to afford and have nutritionists and stuff aboard from day one. But I knew when I turned
Yeah.
professional that I needed to have the right team around me. So I'm a person that loves my country, and I love working with people from Ireland. So I have an Irish nutritionist, an Irish physio, and the S&C coach, and then my coach is from England. So yeah, but I made sure I had my team right from the start. And in professional
Yeah.
boxing, people don't usually have that kind of money to do that right away, or in the position to do it right away. But obviously, fortunately enough, coming off the Olympic Games, it worked out well.
Gee. Okay, so you cut all that weight,
Yeah.
you fight, you win. What's the cheat meal
Oh,
after?
pizza straight away, pizza, and a bit of cake, some type of cake, but it has to have like cream and like jam and stuff in it. It's
Oh.
yeah.
And what's the drink? Are you going proper 12 for your boy?
No. So, like, I'd say over the last few years, at the start, I would have drank after fights and stuff, but over the last few years, I've kind of stopped drinking and realized, and it's experience, man. I've stopped drinking and realized that, if you want to be the best athlete in the world, you've got to
Yeah.
take out every little bit of negative stuff, and even alcohol and stuff. I have no want to drink, so it's not hard. But like after a fight, even when I did drink, I hate drinking, because like I just want to go back to my room, lay on my phone, and go through what was said. It's like, or watch the clips or watch little bits like this. I just want to do something like that. But obviously, I got to
Yeah.
do like the after parties and stuff, and thank everybody for coming and all that. So I'll probably sit with like a cider or something. But yeah, the alcohol stuff, it was something that I realized that I wasn't a massive drinker, but at the same time, it was pointless, because you want to be the best athlete in the world, and you want to have the longevity in the sport. You got to
Yep.
take out all the little shit, and that's
Yeah.
drink is it's massive. Like my like, even
Yep.
though I wasn't a big drinker, when you take that out, how much of a difference it makes in your life is unbelievable.
Oh, mentally, physically,
Mm.
everything you feel it. Yeah. So think about what you're going to feel like tomorrow.
Yeah,
Like that's a quote that I just heard the other day where it's the decisions that you make today obviously affect
yeah,
tomorrow. Drinking's one of those where you're going to feel freaking great drinking.
yeah,
You're going to have fun, but you got to know it's probably not going to be good for
yeah.
you. Last question for you. What's the proudest moment of your career?
This is a hard one, because I've had so many highs throughout my sporting career.
Yeah.
It's it's between two, and it's nothing to do with a professional game. It's either my first major medal, which was the Olympic bronze medal, or else when I won the World Championships, and that was the first and only ever male from Ireland Still, only ever male from Ireland to win a world championship with gold medal. So they've become a world amateur champion, which has still not been done. There's only one person from England that's done it. The UK that's done it. Other, when I'm from Ireland, so them ones of me. So it's a hard one, but the thing is with the world championship one, and this comes back to being, high performing and the fact of, being a perfectionist. So when I won the world championship final, I was knocked down in the last round. I was way ahead, but I was knocked down in the last round, and I was more embarrassed about that than anything. Like, I remember coming out and they were like, "You've just won the world championships." Like, the coach, unbelievable. As like, here, did Luke bother? Because that was the first time I ever touched the canvas, and it was on TV. I was like, I just got knocked down. What the fuck?
Are you fighting every urge to not, like, when you get hit like that?
Nah, you don't know, man. You don't.
Do you just collapse and like
that's it? You're just like, what the fuck? I'm on the ground. Like, it's just like that. It's like, boop. I was like, I remember my knee hitting the ground and then trying to stand up, my leg done a little bit of a shaky dance a little bit when I was like, I tried to put my weight on it. I like wobbled a bit and I was like, get the other leg up now. I got the other leg up, standing there. It was like 10 seconds to go. I was like, thank fuck. And then I battled away, but I'd already won the 2 rounds. And actually I was winning the last round. And in amateur boxing, the knockdown doesn't mean a 10-8 round. The fact that I was winning that round, I actually still won that round on like 2 of the judges' scorecards. So I won the fight, but I was just more embarrassed of the knockdown and stuff. But when I look back on it, that will be my greatest achievement, because no matter when I win a world title as a professional, someone from Ireland has done that before me, but I've just done something that no one has ever done. Cool. So that has to be has to be it.
Nah, man, hats off to you. When I got knocked out in rugby, I was thinking, holy shit, Christian, stand up.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's looking at you. I stood up, I fell. I stood back up, I fell again. And I'm just like, I'm fighting this shit in my body, where it felt like I had no strength.
Your head knows what it wants to do, but your legs don't.
Oh my God. And I watched back the play, and I talked to the guy who's my buddy, who basically ran me over. And I'm just like, damn. I remember hitting the ground and everything was clear in my head, but the body, and I couldn't see. My vision was black. And I just, so I can't imagine that happening. But then you got to get back up and you got to get your hands up and keep boxing.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
And then get hit again.
I didn't actually. I was very, very smart, especially for the first time being like put down. I was very smart. I knew that I had to close the distance and get close, so he couldn't have to kind of leverage on punches. So, yeah, it was good. It was good. It worked out well.
Yeah. Man, I want to say how grateful I am for your time, and I know you're freaking busy, man, and you got a family, and to hear a little bit more about your life as a boxer and your career and your journey and what goes on in your head to be the man you are today is very special for me to hear. And I hope whoever's listening gets a lot of value out of this. So
I appreciate it, Christian. Thank you. Pleasure to be on. And it's been a great chat, man.
It's been great. I can't wait to see the journey continue.
Brilliant.
All right. We'll talk soon,
man. All the best.
Cheers. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, to subscribe, to comment on this video. Let me know what type of people you guys want to see next. Whether it's more athletes, is it a businessman or woman? Is it a health and wellness expert? Anybody. I'd love to share their story. I love sharing stories about chasing a dream. And together, let's change the world.